Hey, 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 we're back again with Sportstake, one of the number one shows of sports information that is out there online. We've been at it, we're getting better every day, and we're here to inform you as to what's going on. WNBA, NBA, NFL, it doesn't matter. We finna talk about it with one of our most profound guests, Brother Deshannon. We appreciate that he's right here with us, and we finna get into it. And we're going to introduce my brother from the UNLV, a famous school here for Houston people. And we want to introduce him right now. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, our guest today, folks, is an alum of James D. Ryan Junior High, my alma mater, James D. Ryan. He also went on to JY to play football and basketball at JY, graduated from JY in 1990. He made the varsity team somewhere during his freshman year there, and he was considered the best lineman in Texas as a junior, and he was a parade All-American, selected to the Super Prep All-Region team as well. He headed to Colorado and played for the Buffs. And that year, the Buffs were the Big 8 champion, and they played in a blockbuster bowl against Alabama. He then transferred over to UNLV. He played defensive tackle. UNLV won the 94 Las Vegas Bowl. And last month, that team was celebrated and inducted into UNLV's Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Mr. Deshannon Campell.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
Welcome, Deshannon. Thanks for coming on, man. And congratulations again, man. That's a huge honor, man.
Yeah, it is,
sir.
man.
Yes, sir. And I just wanted to mention UNLV in Houston history is the alma mater of Eddie Owens, one of the most famous basketball athletes here in Houston. It's also the school of Greg Anthony and Ricky Sobers and several more that I think Anderson.
Larry Johnson,
yes.
Yeah.
Armand Gilliam.
Stacey Augman.
Stacey Augman, yes, sir.
Yeah. Sidney Green.
It's a well-known school, and the Running Rebels in
Jerry Tarkanian, that's the coach.
Huh?
Jerry Tarkanian, the coach. Jerry Tarkanian.
Yep. And so, we keep up with UNLV basketball and football, and it's a profound school in the history of college sports. So we want to give a shout out to that. The first thing I want to talk about is, Phil, what happened to our Astros?
I'm glad you led off with that. First of all, we said at the beginning of the year, give them a little time. They had to get acclimated to losing Dusty, and they did. They had a good season. They won their division probably in the last 7-8 years, 6 or 7 times. And so that's a dramatic thing to come back when you were losing like they were. But here's the thing about the playoffs. The Detroit Tigers' whole roster, playoff roster, payroll, $18.8 or $9 million. The Astros got 2 or 3 players make more than that by themselves. In the major leagues, there was 2 players that made more by themselves than the whole roster of the Detroit Tigers playoff. They got hot at the right time, and it has to be super sweet for AJ Hinch because they pretty much laid that cheating scandal at his feet.
They did.
Fired him, they let him go. He goes to Detroit, which is an awful organization. So that tells me that organization plus him were a good match, and he can manage. It wasn't cheating that won that for the Astros.
Right.
In my opinion. In 17. They had their little issues, but who didn't? But hey, that's where we are with the Astros. Now we got to figure out, do we keep Verlander? Do we keep Bregman? Do we bring in some free agents? They have cap space, but they do have a few guys that's overpaid by the way they played this year.
They do.
What you think
now
about?
The question is the general manager, is he the right guy for the job?
I believe he is. He only been here 2 years, and he's kept them afloat. Just like you got to give a manager some credit for bringing them back from the abyss in the first year. They could have tanked it. They had injuries galore. So I will give that guy another couple years. I will give the general manager a couple years. Let's see what happens. Let's see what they do in free agency. It's up to the organization to make things right, not just the individuals. They have to make good decisions on who they're going to pay and who they're not going to pay, who they're going to bring in and who they're going to let go.
Gotcha.
Understood. What you think, Brother Shannon, about the Astros?
Yeah, I agree with him, man. Just knowing that this team came from the bottom this year, like they were 10 spots out and everybody in the beginning was counting them out. But you got to think about this team has been one of the best teams in the major leagues where you can't count them out. They know when to play when they have to play. But like I said, you had a lot of new guys. You had a new manager, and it's just chemistry. So I think they start hitting their chemistry right at the right point of the year. But at the same time, you still got your veterans who had a lot of injuries, even going into this playoffs. So as far as I think I'm proud of the guys. No one expect them to win this year because just how they started, but they end up winning. You know, and it was hard to see them lose the way they lose. But AJ Hinch, man, I still got to see for him with a beer because he gave us our first championship, regardless of what the scandal. That proved that he was a good manager and he handled the team the right way with the guys he had. So I'm proud of him, but at the same time, man, look, I'm proud of the Astros, and we just got something to build on. It's gonna be a little difficult to try to keep some of the guys. Berkman with the price tag on him, we're gonna see if he's gonna take a pay cut, and if he take off, I'm not mad at him. But if he's willing to stay and try to ride this thing out, it's still gonna be exciting.
Also, Verlander probably is past his prime, and you know he didn't give the Astros what he had gave them in the past,
Right.
And that just added two things. So
yeah, I think it's done. You know,
we'll see what's going to happen next year. But you're right. For the last 5 to 6 years, the Astros have been right up there every year. So we get spoiled a little bit because we expect them to be up there and win it to get to the World Series. I have an important question for you, Brother Shannon.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Who stands out in early NFL, and is Jaden Daniels a fluke?
Honestly, me personally, I think he should have been a first pick. Just watching him from Arizona to transferring to LSU, and you got to realize a lot of people that scout the college football and they look at these kids and they don't really, I'm not going to say they don't tell the truth, but you can't measure a person's heart when they playing football because you don't know what these guys been through, what they're going through. But at the same time, I think Daniels is the truth. He's the baby truth, I think, because he's going in right now and he's considered as an MVP with the 4th game of the year. And he's a cool, calm, and collective. And just kind of piggybacking off of that, I remember coming in as a freshman to Yates. We played 3-4 games, and I was able to move to the junior varsity, play the game, and then I would move to varsity. And just because of the way this guy played, I could relate to it because he prepped himself, he worked hard, he got the respect of the locker room and the players and the coaches. So he's in a good organization, even though that organization was in the dumps for a while. They changed their name twice. But I think he's in the right place, and I'm excited for him. Just when we play him, you know, I just don't want him to win against us. But versus our quarterback and him, I think they're in the same category. They one of the unicorns, man. This guy's a unicorn. And no shot, no disrespect to the first round draft pick, but I also think he just, it's the coaches and the players and the organization, and it's gonna take a little time for Caleb to get where he's at because they put all the pressure on him. He accepted it, but I think it's a little hard for him. You can see it. He's struggling a little bit, but he just got to take his time and understand what he's doing because you're playing against professional athletes. Jaden came for a professional system. When you sit under the quarterback and make reads, it's a big difference being in the shotgun. A lot of people don't understand that. So I think Jaden is more primed than him. And I think we're going to see probably midway through the year to see what the Washington Commanders are going to do.
Let me shout out to this, that for those who may not know who Jaden Daniels is, I don't know how you don't know, but he's the new young black quarterback for the Washington Commanders. And Caleb Williams is the new young black quarterback for the Chicago Bears. So let me follow up, Brother Shannon. What have you seen that stands out to you so far? Now, I don't know if you saw my man Derrick Henry, but if that boy gets revved up with the Baltimore Ravens, him and Lamar Jackson together, along with that defense, to me, they look scary. What you think about that?
I agree with you. That's why they call him King Henry for a reason. I mean, the guy is still running the ball hard, but what's scary about it, it's not him himself. It's the speed he has, dude. He's running away from DBs. They can't even catch him.
Yeah, did you see that 87-yard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
They running behind this guy. Not only you got an angle on him, he ain't have to put a stiff on him. He's running by these guys. So even at the age that he's at, I think Titans did a good thing by getting rid of him because I got tired of playing against him as a Texan fan. But he's still in the AFC, so we still have to see him. But at the same time, that guy is some of the guys I played against every week in the HISD in our district. We had guys that had that capability of making moves, putting a stiff arm on you. But at the same time, I feel like Baltimore's a good team. Just to give a shout out to my son, he's a Baltimore fan. So, we have our little quarrels in the house as far as when we win and lose against them. But, I think that Jackson don't have to do as much as he's been doing because he do have somebody to hand the ball off. But at the same time, he's not a threat out the backfield for his catching. He don't have a deep threat as throwing the ball down the field, but I don't count him out. Like you say, Harbaugh, he's gonna get that team ready every week. That's one of them teams you can never take for granted. So I like Derrick Henry there, but at the same time, I wish him success. But at the same time, hey, when it comes against the guys, we got to handle him. A running back like that, if you don't get him before he start, he's like an Earl Campbell. He's gonna run over you and keep going.
What the league is going to have to what the league is going to have happen is for him to wear down somewhere maybe around mid-season, and maybe go out with an injury, and then they won't be as potent. Then the league have a better chance against the Ravens. I'm serious. I agree with you.
I agree. Okay, guys. Who else out there looks pretty good as so far, and who has kind of surprised you that they're not doing as well? And then let's talk about the Texans. They're 3-1. They played Buffalo this week, but here in town, I'm glad we don't play in Buffalo. Buffalo is cold, but C.J. Stroud has been doing a good job, not super great, but a great job, good job, and he's leading the team. But Minnesota certainly gave him a challenge, but there's going to be several challenges throughout the year. So what do you think about the highlight of teams, Phil, and the Texans?
Well, like you said, Minnesota is doing well. They have a good defensive coordinator, so they're using all their tricks of the trade, and they're maximizing the talent they have for that defense. Cincinnati's a little disappointing right now.
Let me ask, who's that defensive coordinator of Minnesota? Is that Brian Flores?
That would be Brian Flores.
Okay, all right.
The same man who filed a suit against the NFL.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's been treated, but doesn't take away from his coaching ability, which is obvious. So with that being said, I mean, you know, Cincinnati is in scary position not making the playoffs if they don't start winning. But Minnesota's in a good spot based on nobody thought they would be doing what they're doing, especially with Sam Darnold as the quarterback. And he also gets a chance to exact some revenge this coming Sunday against his former team who gave up on him. So that's going to be an interesting watch. So those are the teams, you know, that
what do you think?
Opposites to me.
I hear there's a slight controversy in Pittsburgh that Russell Wilson, they're going to leave Justin Fields up there.
Wouldn't you? They doing okay without him. I mean, if I said all along, I thought that no matter what Russell did, Justin Fields was the best option for now. Because Russell has done almost everything you can do. Just let him play his position. So if they need him, they do. But put Justin out there. You traded for him. And not only that, you didn't have to give up a lot to get him. He's young. He's very athletic. And if Russell really has a sore calf, then let it heal. You don't rush him back out there. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl in week 4 or 5. You know, so let's just see how it goes with that team because, you know, hey, they have no excuse for losing to Dallas if they lose to Dallas come Sunday. They should win that game. But if they don't, you know, they may start calling for Russell then. But if Russell's healthy and he's not playing, you know, you got to look at who their coach is too. That dude is very deceptive, but direct. He ain't giving you everything, but he'll give you enough that you can go say, okay, I heard enough. He's very good as an interviewer, as a coach, and he handles the press like a champ. So I have love for him. Their coach is outstanding to me. And he hasn't had a season in 17 years.
Tomlin?
Mike Tomlin.
Right, got you. Well, I agree. There's no reason for it to make a quarterback switch when the Steelers are sitting in the first place, sitting at 3-1. That makes no sense. You just go with the guy that's bought you there. And Justin Fields has done an outstanding job. So, no, there's no reason to do a switch there. I'm surprised that the Rams are not doing better than they are. I'm surprised that Philly is only 2-2. I'm surprised that the Saints are only 2-2. Those are teams that I'm surprised. 49ers, I'm surprised that they're just 2-2. I know it's early in the season, but those are teams that I projected that would win their division, and I'm surprised that they're sitting at 2-2.
Understood. It's still early in the year. This is week 5 coming up, I believe, and we had a game Thursday night, and so we are into week 5, and it's going to start making moves. And as Phil said, you can't continue losing 1-3 and expect to make the playoffs. Was somebody about to say something? Go ahead, Shannon.
Well, just piggybacking off of what all y'all said, you know, it's still early, but, you know, you got the injuries. Like, one thing I know about playing football, you can't measure the team's heart. It depends on how they're being coached, how they come out to practice. And just like last night, I didn't watch the game, but I caught the tail end of it. It was 30-30, and the dude took it for 46 yards down the middle for 500 yards passing. And just Kirk Cousins has been relevant in the NFL. He's not been like the best player, but it's when it comes to contracts, he's been premier because he's been getting his money. He's been relevant when he played. He's been good when he played. And you got guys that's been counted out, just like Baker Mayfield played against this guy. Either or could have won that game. So as far as it's still early, and it's teams that we wasn't expecting, like Minnesota's 4-0, even with the injury to their rookie quarterback. if just a change of scenery, just like we all went to do different jobs, and it made us better and made us worse. But at the same time, it just the change of scenery, you just get you get that. I'm going to ball out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do better. They believe in me. And I think that's also important when you go to different teams and franchises where teams believe in you, just like, not to kind of jump the gun, with the trade with Minnesota and New York. You got one player is thankful being in New York, and you got one player is thankful being in Minnesota because they say they care about me. So who's to say what the season gonna pan out for him? But at the same time, it's a lot of teams right now playing good, and I'm one of them guys. When we get midway with that 8th, 9th game, you got to make your identity. You have to be by identity, and you'll start seeing the separations. Who's going to do what? So
let me ask this: the Texans lost Joe Mixon first or second game, and then they, I looked at the stats the other day. They have nobody almost in the top 20. Can they sustain that, or do they have to get somebody who can run that ball? I mean, Stroud can't do everything. I believe they got to get something in that backfield to have some motor going on.
They got to get Pierce. They got to get Pierce back. If Joe Mixon is out, they got to get Pierce back. If they don't get Pierce back, they can't win with just Cam Akers. They got to get Pierce back or get Mixon back. One of those two. Are you aware, Corb, that the guy that scored that touchdown, the winning touchdown last night, went to Prairie View? Hodge went to PBU.
Yes, I found that out.
Okay, yeah. Just want to
make sure. Somebody posted it real deeply on our site, and you had to see it if you're looking at our sports page. So
exactly, he also won a Super Bowl. Paul, he won a Super Bowl in his first year with the Rams. He actually won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
The guy from Prairie View.
Shout out to PBU on that.
Exactly.
PBU, very much so. So we're going to look at, it's going to be interesting. I tell you, every game, like football is much different from basketball and baseball. It's like an event. That's why you got tailgating. It's a big occasion. You go to these stadiums, and it's wherever you go, it's a big event. Even in Atlanta, it was, a big event. You saw that in the background and so forth. So football is still the top of the line as far as sports. And as I talked about before, it's going to become international. I think they're talking about London having a team. Also in 2026, they're talking about adding 3 to 4 teams. So football is interesting. And as always, that's an understatement. But so it's going to continue, and it's going to always be exciting. Will Mahomes repeat?
I'm going to say this here.
Against. I'm thinking Baltimore is going to come out of the AFC. Anybody got a pick on that? Go ahead, Shannon.
I'm going to say this regarding the Texans. Even though our running game is not what we expect it to be because of the injuries with 2 backs, and then you got Cam Akers. But you have to think about, we didn't have a run game last year. So
Singletary did a little bit last year, though.
Yeah, he was manageable. I'm not gonna sit up and say he was a bell cow, but when it was important for him to catch the ball out the backfield, get them first down, and keep the chains moving, that's what they're good at. And I think Slovic should just take what he had with the 3 to 4 or 5 people that he can throw the ball to, even mix it up. I think he needs to start mixing the plays up more than doing the reverse, kind of being the zone running and blocking. You need to kind of change it up because teams are teeing off on us when it comes to when they making us one dimensional. You have to keep them all balanced. Even though we still got some guys can run the ball, but I think you need to tap into that. You can't just say, because you know a lot of coaches, because I played with them, they get stuck on what they have and not what the guys that they have on the team. Hey man, you got guys on the team on the roster that play running back, fullback. You got a whole week to prep. That's the advantage you have on the other teams when you come playing like this weekend. You Buffalo is a good team. If you keep Josh Allen in the pocket, make him throw from the pocket, and make him do things that he's not uncomfortable, he's gonna try to put the team on his back and turn the ball over. Also, we have to, on the back end, we're young, we got pass rushers. I know my man from Minnesota, we just signed him. Hunter is not gonna play this weekend, but we still got 2-3 guys that can rush the end. And Anderson, I know he probably ain't fully healthy, but if you blitz from whatever angle of the field, you put pressure on Buffalo because they don't have a premier running back, they don't have a premier receiver and a tight end. So, and then on the defensive side, you know, you got a homecoming for Oliver, which is banged up, and Miller is out. So you have to take advantage of stuff like that. So
I agree.
If sounds mainly, great. Go ahead.
They have key players out. I agree.
Mainly, we have the pre-snap penalties, which is killing us as a team.
Yeah,
that's what we need to get situated. I don't care who's in the lineup. You got to stop pre-snap penalties.
They got to work. I mean, Tunsil got to stop getting those penalties.
Yeah.
Tunsil,
he's the best offensive lineman.
He's the highest paid on the team. He's one of the top 5 in the league. And also, I'm gonna say this, that goes back to not practicing with your team. Even though I know they didn't want him to get banged up and injured, but you know, we old school, man. You got to build that chemistry. You got to get in on the first units and just move around, do it blocking. I'm not saying you don't have to practice every day, but you can't miss a whole week of practice and you sitting over on the sideline, practice gets a dummy that's not hitting you back. That's why it's called a dummy.
Understood.
You know what I'm saying?
I want to go back to what you interjected earlier. New York and Minnesota made a trade, and you mentioned that one person likes being in Minnesota, one person likes being in New York. Are you saying Cat liked being traded to New York and Randall liked being traded to Minnesota? Are you saying that?
I think Randall's more of being traded to Minnesota because you can tell over the last couple of years he wasn't into it. You can see it on the court. I'm not saying that he wasn't giving his 100%, but over just being an athlete, he was injured, and when he came in, he wasn't giving his best. So I'm thinking maybe something was internal inside the locker room or with the coaching or the organization. But by him being gone, I think that him being there, who's to say if that team gonna be better or worse? But Cat, regardless of the situation, he was playing. He played. He's one of the premier big men in the league, from 3-point in the paint, dribbling to everything. But I think Minnesota, if Randall played the type of ball that he can play, I think they'll be a better squad because of that trade. And I'm not knocking New York because New York is New York and they got premier players. But as far as him being in the paint in that division and that conference, you need a big man.
Let me say,
I like that trade. I like that trade for both teams,
right.
Paul.
Exactly.
I mean, the
Why,
Knicks get
Jeff?
Karl Anthony Towns, and the T-Wolves get Dante DiVincenzi, and then they also get Julius Randle, and then on top of it, they get a first-round pick. I like that trade for both teams. I think that was a trade that was good for both teams. That was an even trade, in my opinion. Because Julius Randle was an all-star, in case you guys don't know it.
Right.
He's an all-star.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the T-Wolves may be better. They may be better.
Let me say this, Jeff, real quick. New York changed their style of play, and that made, in my opinion, Julius Randle expendable. Because if you remember with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, as well as OG Obanobi,
right,
was playing the power forward. Now they got Mikal Bridges, and they got the whole Villanova thing again. So they going for that quickness, and Randle, that's not his game. But it might. I would have thought they would have kept Cat and tried to get rid of Rudy Gobert, but maybe some internal things going on. We don't know. We're not in the locker room. We're not
trade value. Trade value. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns may have had a higher trade value than Gobert.
Maybe he did.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
no question about that.
Exactly.
See, but people fail to realize DiVincenzo made New York better last year too.
He
That is
did.
a versatile athlete. He scored off the bench like crazy. If he does that in Minnesota and they can replace what Cat did bring with the two other big guys who played well in the playoffs, now that makes that a good trade. I mean, DiVincenzo is the real caveat that made that trade really special because they gave up some things too. But basically it's 2 for 1, plus a pick. That's 3 options that New York got.
And that's my opinion about Minnesota, saying they probably got the better option.
Because when it's all said and done. And Cat was a little miserable. They was beginning to ride him a little bit in Minnesota. Right. So change of scenery makes a difference for a lot of players.
And I think a lot of what he was doing with, like you say, Gobert, you had 2 big men playing at the same time. So it wasn't like the offense was going through Cat. It was going through as a team structure. And I think if you give a player that option, well, hey, the offense going through me, and I can dish the ball up. I got 3-point shooters. We play defense, and he do run the court. So that's an advantage New York still have. He does run the court.
When New York had no center, their center left and went to Oklahoma City. So they had to have somebody to man the paint. And they got a high caliber player, athlete, class act guy too. I mean, so we'll see what happens. They're in a tough division. So Philly and Boston ain't gonna roll over just because they got him.
I think you got New York. I'd say Boston and New York. I'm gonna put Philly in 3rd right now, just because of what I've seen with them over the last 3 or 4 years. But you seen New York just last year how they push the envelope on everybody, just playing defense. So
that's serious energy. Talking about the experiment that was in Minnesota with Gobert and Towns, I've heard wording that, hey, they are talking about trying to have a big man lineup here in Houston with inserted Steven Adams in there. I don't know if they're talking about starting. I assume not. I wouldn't give up on Jabari Smith yet.
No.
I wouldn't give up on him. He's a young player. He could grow into it, but this has to be, in my opinion, that his year that he becomes a real solid player. Now, Jeff, what do you see as the projection of what you heard about the Rockets?
Okay, basically, when he was asked that question, when he was talking about that big lineup, he was asked that question in practice, I think yesterday or day before yesterday. So it's not like this was his idea. He was asked that question, would you consider playing Steven Adams at the same time with Alperen Sengun? And he says, yeah, that's something we have kicked around, an idea we kicked around. But this is something they probably would do maybe 2 to 4 minutes a game. This is not something they're going to do for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. There's no way, because you have Jabari Smith, you have Tara Eason, you have Jeff Green, you have Cam Whitmore, you have Dylan Brooks, they have Jayshawn Tate. They have too many forwards on this team to play Steven Adams too many minutes at the 4. then because when you do that, that's going to take minutes away from these young guys, and you're preventing them from developing. So I don't see that happening. If he does it, it's going to be for maybe 2 to 3 minutes in situations, but it won't be for an extended period of time. But talking about the Rockets, let's talk about, well, before we get to the Rockets, let's talk about the Knicks and the T-Wolves. I liked what the T-Wolves did. That trade when they got DiVincenzi and Julius Randle in that first round pick, and then he also, remember, they traded for the 8th pick in the draft, and that's Rob Dillingham. I think Rob Dillingham is going to be a good player. I really like his talent. So I like what the T-Wolves did. I like what the T-Wolves did, and I like what OKC has done. And the Rockets, of course, the Rockets really didn't hardly do anything this offseason. They didn't. I mean, I'm excited about the Rockets. I'm extremely excited about the Rockets because I think that they're going to be better because they're going to be better because it's going to be an internal improvement because of all the young talent. These guys got to get better. You're talking about guys who are 20 years old, 21, 22, 23. So they should be getting better. They should be getting to the point where they can start reaching their peak. So the Rockets are going to get better because of the youth that they have on their team. But they also have to take consideration that Tari Eason missed the last 75% of the season last season. Plus, they didn't have Steven Adams at all last season. And then you added Reed Shepherd. So I think that they have made enough additions to this team where this team should win. I'm gonna say Houston should win about 48 games. I'm gonna give them 48, 49 games. Of course, it's provided they can stay relatively healthy. But I like what Houston has done.
All right, sounds good. Jeff, when is the training camp start? Has it already started?
Training camp started this past Monday, so they've already practiced 4 days. They were off today. They've had 4 days. I think tomorrow is a fan appreciation day.
They go play Monday, Shannon?
Yeah,
they play Monday.
They play Monday for them.
Yeah, but they got some teams playing tonight preseason.
Right. You're right. But the Rockets don't start off.
Yeah, you got NBA this weekend, tonight and tomorrow. Yeah, you got NBA this weekend. That's true.
Like
LeBron been playing tonight.
Jeff, where can we watch the Rockets games at? I know I had to pay a big amount on FUBU last year. Is that the same? This year, you think?
Let me check. It's on my I have DirecTV. It's on channel 676, and that is what channel? That is called. Hold on.
We know it's on Space City.
Space City.
Space City. It's actually 674. Space City. That's the channel it's on.
Yeah, they changed because they was going through a legal battlement issue, and they stopped showing games in Astro. The Astros playing on the same network, but just to kind of, we're talking about Jeff was talking about the Rockets. They didn't trade it for a lot of guys. They didn't pick up a lot of guys, and I think because they're comfortable with the team, the guys that got on the team, because as you saw at the end of the year, they finished what? 500.
41 and 41.
Right. And they got a good nucleus of a team. Plus, you still got trade during the season to pick up people. But I think if you keep that team together and let them play together and gel together, and then you had guys that wasn't playing, that was on that team, that was on the bench, that was getting healthy, I think they got a good chance of making a run. I like the fact that when you don't have a target on your back, but you know what you have, just like they did last year. They was beating teams. They was physical. They didn't stand down for nobody. These guys, it's just like taking, and no disrespect to the NBA, you just like taking an NBA team versus a good freshman college team or a team that's played together for 4 years. It's hard to beat these teams. And a lot of people don't realize, even in football, I don't care what district or what conference they come from. If you got a team with seniors on that team that's played 4 years, it's hard to beat these teams, just like California. They're getting ready to play Oregon tonight. Not to switch the conversation.
It's all good.
That's not going to be an easy game for Oregon because you playing against these guys are seniors and they've been playing 4 years together on defense. and they got a top-ranked defense for a reason. And people don't look at the fact because they look at the teams. They don't just and going to the when you get to the March Madness, people like I say, well, if you got a team that's 25-3, 25-2, 27-4, them guys know how to play basketball. And it's hard to beat this team now. You can get overwhelmed early. It's hard to come back from that. But I think the Rockets, man, got something brewing, and I'm excited for them. You know, I rep my Houston teams, and I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do. Hopefully they can start off hot and keep that momentum. That's important.
Hey, Shannon, we didn't get a chance to talk to you during the time of the Olympics. Were you surprised at that level of competition? And segue into Victor Wembanyama, I believe he's going to really show out this year. He's improving. He's going to be, in my opinion, him and Chet Holmgren are going to be going for it. He's probably going to be first team All-Star and across the board. But were you surprised by the competition that the men and the women in the Olympics received?
I don't know if you remember, and I said, I can't think of the other guy was on the show. I was telling you guys that this is the Olympics. They was expecting USA to just dominate, and that's what we used to. Just like we're talking about the Astros, we're used to these teams dominate. But you playing against the best athletes in the world around the continent. This game is universal now, so they're gonna give you your best at every time. I think Wemby, this guy, he was a #1 draft pick for a reason. He's young, and you can see his development as the year went on. You can see the confidence he had when he was playing against USA in the championship game. You can see what France was. You had guys you never heard of was, excuse my language, giving USA hell. You see, they won like by points. It wasn't a blowout.
If Steph Curry hadn't gone off, we'd have lost.
Right. Yeah. Even for the women. That team, they got something. They let you know the international play is here. So saying that, I think that the competition level is what I expected. Look, we dominated the medals in the Olympics, but who had the most gold? China.
I thought it was tied. I thought we finished tied. We finished tied.
I thought we was top or we was at the head.
No, overall, we had the most medals, but the most gold medals we were tied with China.
Yeah, they was leading in gold medals to the end, to the relays and to the women's and men's basketball. That's how we topped them.
We finished 40-40. Both countries had 40 gold medals.
Right. That came at the end with them 2 championships. Right. But overall, China was dominating in gold, even though we had more medals.
They were.
So that just tells you the competition and the level that I will always expect us to go out and put out our best. But I'm not going to sit up and say we should dominate because we're USA. That's just something we used to. I want us to go out doing what we do best, is perform. If you go out to perform, you're going to give your best. Like you saw what happened with gymnastics. They stripped us for one because you didn't do this in time. Now, come on, man. You can't do that. That's not the performer's fault, the athlete's fault. That's on judgment. But I just think the fact that, you know, I've seen a lot of Olympics. I sit down just like most everybody, and what I expect for us to do, we dominate. But at the same time, you can't count the other countries out because they got world class. And half of them train in the United States.
They coming across the board, and every event also. I mean, look at track and field. We used to totally dominate. Wasn't even close in the mile relay. This year in the mile relay, that was a race. That was a
Right.
serious race. You know, that's my thing. Talking about basketball and international basketball, we just had an WNBA playoff, and the girl Caitlan Clark, she got eliminated, and viewership went down. What does that say, Mr. President Jeff?
That says a lot about our country. That says that has not been much change in our country. You have to understand, they have their white knight. They have their white knight now, and they're resting their laurels on their white knight. And she's talented. I give her credit. She's super talented, and she's going to get better. And so you have to understand, they have their white knight, and just it's just a situation where they are resting their laurels on her skill set. And once she was eliminated, it's like the rest of the country, they no longer had any interest in watching the WNBA. Now they still got viewership, but the viewership went down by like almost 200%. So that was amazing when you think about it. So obviously the country is enamored with Caitlan Clark. So they're gonna have to figure out. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna have to happen. The players in the WNBA are gonna have to understand that Caitlan Clark is huge, and they're gonna have to not have the attitudes that they have, because the long as you have the attitude toward her that they have shown her, the country is gonna rally around her. They're gonna rally around her because they're gonna see her as a victim, and they're gonna so they're gonna continue to,
if they go too far out the line, they also may get kicked out the league. Gabby Williams from France, she said she don't want to play no more in the WNBA, and they are giving retribution to those players who have went overboard with their actions toward her.
Yeah.
And so they got to watch that. They're going to mess up their own meal ticket. But Jeff, tell me what teams are still in there and who we think gonna win.
Right now I'm watching Minnesota versus Connecticut. Minnesota leads Connecticut 54-47. So right now this is the second round. It's a best of 5. So this is game 1 of the best of 5. So they got a long way to go, but this is in the third quarter. With 5 minutes left to play in the third quarter, you got Minnesota leading.
Semifinal, so who are the other
the
two
team
teams?
I think, Say what?
You said this is the semifinal, so there's two other teams playing, New York Liberty and who else?
Right. The Liberty versus the Las Vegas Aces.
Aces.
Yeah, the Aces. They play there on the night. The Liberty leads the Aces 2-0 right now.
Yeah, it looks like they might get eliminated this year. Even
though Liberty good.
UConn and Minnesota are 1-1.
Say again?
Jeff was saying that's the first game.
Yeah, they 1-1. You're right. You're right. That's my eyes. It look like okay, you're right. They tied 1-1. The series tied 1-1. And Liberty's up 2-0.
Phil, so what do you say about that Caitlan Clark thing and the ascendancy of the WNBA?
I don't know. I kind of differ opinion on a lot of things about WNBA. I just think the league is going to be fine with or without her. They've been struggling to make that be a league for a while. They're getting sponsorships. They're getting money. Do you know how many more players in that league are better than her? There are more. Trust me. Trust me. Look, New York got a team, nothing but stars. And until she wins the championship, then she'll start really raking it in. She's doing good now. Who wouldn't want her? But her team is young. She got a lot of weight. They're gonna eventually be extremely good if everybody stays healthy. They have the nucleus. But right now, it's not their time. She made the splash. The other guys in the league, they know who she is. How can you ignore who she is? But I still think the league is strong with or without her. It's stronger with her, obviously. But that league was doing fine. I mean, you got people that was hurt, didn't play, that you hadn't heard of, but that is a good league for right now because they got the NBA support. They're not going to kick them out. They're growing. They just added a team in Portland. They're gonna keep adding teams.
They're adding 3 teams.
Exactly, and especially if our owner here, Tillman Fertitta, get his way, we'll have a team here.
Mm-hmm. Right, that'd be great.
So they're gonna be fine, and so we get to see her. We get to go see her when she come here. But I don't have a problem with people not bowing down to her. She's another basketball player. She put her tennis shoes on like everybody else. And she gonna catch hell some nights and she gonna give hell some nights.
Exactly.
Them pro players too.
Yes.
Brother, I agree with you. on that because when you glorify and just put that person always the conversation when you talk about the league and you keep talking about one player, you know, a lot of players gonna gun for you because it's not about just her. It's about the league itself. And I'm not taking nothing from the young lady. I watched her when she was in Iowa. She did what she did to get where she's at. But I can name players that before she even got to college or high school that was doing stuff in the WNBA. So it's she don't make the WNBA. She's bringing the viewership because of what she's done. She's bringing the sales of tickets because of what she's doing. But she's not the team, the WNBA. I won't give her that. Like you said, you got to earn it. Like you said, if you're not winning championships and like a Jordan and the Shaqs and the Kobe's,
Cynthia Cooper.
Cynthia Cooper. We can name we was
Cheryl
what, three?
Swoops.
We was three. We won the first three.
Four.
Yeah.
WNBA championships before LA Sparks, all these guys started winning. New York.
We would have won 6 if Cooper hadn't retired and went into coaching. Yeah.
And the team was gone after that. You know, you see what I'm saying? So I'm not taking nothing from her, but you got to earn your right. That's just like what we were talking about Caleb Williams. Same thing. They call him the unicorn. What they was expecting him to do. The dude's a rookie. He's gonna do rookie things. He got to get used to this speed and this level and a professional. Just as like when I played. When I got there, the game was fast. It was moving fast. But at some point, it don't stop moving fast. It just slow down in your brain. When you start getting comfortable with what you're doing, that's just like you start a new job. If you go from doing one thing or being in management or ownership, it's gonna be fast for you until you start gathering things and where it'll slow down for you, but it's still moving fast. You just get comfortable with what you're doing. So eventually she calmed down. She led the league in assists. She can move the rock around and put it to the people that need to score. But at the same time, and I'm gonna tell y'all this here, and a lot of people don't agree with me, but the WNBA is more physical than the NBA.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I'm telling you this.
Woo.
It is.
I'm going to have to study that a little bit.
I got to watch them a little bit more closer. I didn't realize that.
Hey, them females are more physical than the NBA players.
More physical.
Because they can get away with a little bit more.
That's for sure. It's not lightweight.
Brother, they are physical. You seen the contact they get from each other. They literally doing rugby, man. They run into you and knock you down. And people look at it as, but they've been playing like this for a long time. So I've been watching me. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. I grew up in the CUNY homes. I used to be a ball boy at Texas Southern. And I used to watch Texas Southern girls basketball team play. And when I tell you, them girls were physical, they were physical. They was beat up after games. Men's, they was a little more because they accepted what they was doing, but they didn't pay attention to how physical the female play because they were trying to prove themselves. They was trying to get the recognition. So they played you more physical, but pay attention to these games in the playoffs. Watch how physical they are. Look how physical they play.
Understood.
Hey, Carl. Let's go back to the NBA just for a moment. There's a couple of things I wanted to cover in the NBA. All right. As far as players changing teams, I want to ask you guys a question here. As far as the players that change teams, which player you think will have the biggest impact on his new team? Klay Thompson of Dallas, Paul George going to the 76ers, Chris Paul going to the Spurs, Isaiah Hartenstein going to the OKC Thunder, Russell Westbrook signing with Denver, Steven Adams ending up in Houston. Remember, he didn't play in Houston last year. He was hurt all year. So with those guys right there, who you guys think will make the biggest impact on their team?
Hartenstein
of OKC? Okay, what about you, Phil, you want to hear him again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Klay Thompson moved from Golden State to Dallas. Paul George moved from the Clippers to the 76ers. So now he's with the Sixers with Tyrese Maxey along with Embiid. So they got a big three now there in Philly.
Yeah.
And then they got Chris Paul signed with the Spurs, and then the Spurs drafted Stephon Castle. I like the Spurs, what they've done. And then, of course, Russell Westbrook went to Denver, Steven Adams in Houston, and Hardenstein and Caruso ended up with OKC. I like what some of these teams have done. This will be really interesting. Some of the balance of power is going to be shifted a little bit. But I like what OKC did.
Well, I think Dallas getting Klay Thompson, if he's able to play at the level to where he's not going to be the Klay Thompson that won 4 rings in Golden State, but he's going to be able to be an asset with the scoring because Luka carries too much of a load. They have some other guys there. You know, Brunson does his thing, and the guys off the bench do. But if Klay can come in and average double figures off the bench, good possibility they can get around that hump with the game. Because Jason Kidd has proven to be a very good coach, regardless of what people have said about him. He's no nonsense with those guys, but he is at the same time, he was a player too at a high level. So they're not going to intimidate him by what they do, especially Luka. You need somebody to control him because he's not as disciplined as he seems to be. You know, he does get the job done because he has such a great mind for basketball. He's a basketball mind. But then I also think by the time Cats get settled in New York, he can be a beast because he doesn't have to worry about anybody coming in and compete for his position. And that's going to set a guy off in a whole nother level when you know the coach needs you and wants you and you know what you can do. He has to stay healthy, of course, but the minutes are going to be there. He's not, I mean, they had him a little gun shy in Minnesota the last little bit, and it showed in the playoffs. That's why he was so inconsistent. You can hit 2 points one night and 30 the next. That's crazy for a guy of his talent.
Right.
I like
all right. So who did you go with? Who did you go with, Phil? Who do you think will make the biggest impact of those guys?
If you had to pick one person, it would be Klay Thompson.
Okay. All right. And then, Carl, who did you say? You said Hardenstein. Okay, now Deshannon, who do you say?
I'm gonna say Stevens because he sat out a year, and just his presence in the paint alone will allow the Rockets to. You got 3-point shooters, you got guys that'll run. He can run the court also, but just that defensive presence is what the coach loves, and I think that'll allow the guys to play freely.
And then locker room presence. And it's locker room presence.
And my point exactly. They can play. They can play freely and not think about it, and not saying the ball has to go through him to make the offense. They already know where the offense is going. They're going to the outside. They're going for outside in, inside out. But you know the Rockets love defense because that's why they got Udoka for the defense. What he did with the Boston Celtics.
One other thing, Carl. One other thing on basketball is who you guys would be the Rookie of the Year candidates this year. Just give me 1 or 2 names each. Who we go with Phil. We'll start with you, Phil. Who do you think will be the Rookie of the Year candidates this year in the NBA?
Well, the one guy that I liked last year, and it's 2, Klingon in Portland, if he plays the way he played in college, and another UConn guy, which is Castle. Hey, that kid is mean. If he could just do it on defense alone, but he has to learn the NBA way. But he's a young man that's ready to, at a young age, 19, 20? He's going to come in
20.
Yeah, and he has a good skill set. I think sometimes it just has to wide open ability to play defense and score. He didn't score nearly as much as he could have at UConn, but he'll do it in the NBA.
Exactly. All right, Carl, who you going? Who you going with? I'm
not going to choose anybody on that because I don't know enough about who's playing. It's just too early yet.
For me.
All right,
let me tell you who I'm gonna go with. I'm going with Zach Edey, 7'4" center with Memphis. Reason why I'm gonna go with Zach Edey is because with John Morant back healthy, I think they're gonna have a huge improvement as far as the number of wins this season. And because they're gonna have a huge improvement with the number of wins this season, and because he's gonna probably be their starting center, he's gonna project well on those wins. I think he can come in and give them 15 points, 12, 13 rebounds a game as a rookie. I really believe that. And because of that, I got him as my rookie of the year.
I just want to
But
give
also,
a shout
don't go
out
to sleep.
to Derrick
Don't go to
Rose,
sleep on Ron
who
Howard.
had a good career.
Yeah, he retired.
I want to give a shout out to Derrick Rose,
Yeah.
who had a
Okay.
good career and retired. He was
Yeah.
a Memphis player, and you know, he did his thing. Got one MVP. If he hadn't got hurt, he'd have been one of the best of all time.
He was the youngest
I give
player
a
to
shout
ever
out.
win. He was the youngest player to ever win the MVP.
I also give a shout out to AJ Griffin, who retired from the NBA, who was with the Rockets, who they traded for him on draft night.
From
Anyway,
Atlanta.
he's retiring from the NBA because he's going to pursue a relationship with God. He's going to go into ministry, so he's making the right decision.
At 21, that's pretty impressive.
It is. It is. That's amazing.
Let me ask this, guys, as we get toward closing, but we do have another couple of segments. I want to ask this though: what is happening in our city as far as high school basketball? High school football. I saw Yates, Worthing. Did Worthing beat Yates?
Yes, I was
Yeah,
at
they
the
won
game.
by one. Yates missed a point after, and that was the difference in the
couldn't
game. They
score in
lost
the red
7-6.
zone. They were in the red zone 5 or 6 times, but neither could Worthing. So that game was a wash. They could have went either way. And I never saw more. I'd never been to any game, not even a Pop Warner game, and saw that many flags. That was ridiculous.
Wow. Wow.
Who
And
is
then, of course,
considered
they
the
came back
top
and won
team?
last night, called 60-0. Make sure you mention that. They
Say what
beat
now?
Cashmere last night, 60-0. Since you're going to talk about that loss, we're going to talk about the win. They beat Cashmere last night, 60-0.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's cool. Who are some of the top teams in high school out there, Phil? Do you know?
I really don't. I just want to go see that game. You know, I give them a couple of games here and there a year. But I do know all those teams up toward Atascocita, Katy, you know, the same usual suspects. They are winning, and of course North Shore. But
of course, North Shore.
Yeah, but we'll see when
North
it's all
Shore
said
is
and done.
considered nationally one of the
Absolutely, but some of the other teams are ranked that way too up there. And we got Tompkins and all these schools that didn't exist when we were around. So we're a little further removed now than we were. But I do see on the highlights what's going on, you know. And so I pretty much live a little rock's throw from Butler. So I'll run over there and somebody tells me there's a decent game. I'll check that out. Oh, actually, now wait a minute. Here's something special. I went to a junior high game Wednesday night to see, Coach Brigham, who was on our show, his grandson plays for Thornton. And he sent me a text, they're going to play next week at Hall Stadium. Now, you want to see a high school stadium in this area that's, if you've never been to Hall Stadium in Sugar Land, that's a stadium. It's on the High Tower campus. So I'm going to go watch this little junior high championship game. And it was interesting. I mean, and it was a poorly officiated game. I take that back. If I thought the Yanks game was bad, those are the two. I mean, it's not the same. I understand, but those two games, I just cannot. Look, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. The opening kickoff, the opposing team, Baines, kicked the ball out of bounds. Okay, they pushed them back. They kicked it out of bounds again, and then they gave them the ball at midfield. Right. Also, in middle school, when you kick an extra point, it's 2 points. Because that's to encourage them to kick the ball. Yeah. Hey, and they kicked it too. Straight up better than high school. Yanks couldn't even do that. That's why they lost.
Okay.
The audience sees we all have shirts on, 75 size shirts. We want to go out into the community and go to some of these games with our shirts on. And Phil, you also want to publicize, promote our sponsorship.
Absolutely, guys. We are happily sponsored by A-Rocket Moving and Storage, a family-owned business. CEO DeAndre Sam, been around since 1959. We are located at 3401 Porter. Residential, commercial, office, interstate moves. 713-748-6024. If you call it, we'll haul it. That's all you got to do. Let us know. We advertising here on this show so everybody knows, but we also have radio ads. We are a TSU sponsor. We are a Sam Houston sponsor. and also a Prairie View sponsor. We make sure those teams get their football equipment to whatever area they're playing at. So, hey, check us out, A-Rocket Moving and Storage.
Hey, just saying, I don't have a T-shirt. I'm about to give it somebody to get in the shirt, but I would like to help, sponsor and do what you guys doing, because I appreciate what you guys doing, because it's keeping history and relevance stand, and just giving a audience where what some of these guys don't know about what's going on in the communities. So I think that's a good thing. But just kind of piggybacking off of the high schools, like I'm over here, like you said, I got Hightower, Ridge Point, Mansville, Elkins, Dulles.
Hear about all of them. We need to hear the update on all of them too for our audience.
Right. So I think, like you said, we have some classes over here at the stadium over here next to me. Friday night lights, the lights are on right now. Thursday and Friday, the lights are on. So, but I'm just appreciate what you guys have done, allowing me to be on this show again. And like I said, if I can reach out to one of you guys later about getting a T-shirt, I will definitely support what you guys are doing. So just want to let you know that.
Sounds good, and we're going to talk to you about that. We're trying to grow every day, so we thank you. We appreciate you, and we're trying to move forward and get out there to the community. Yes. My last point, Pete Rose just died. Charlie Hustle. Do we believe that they held him back, or should he got his just rewards by not being in the Hall of Fame? I mean, so many players have done different things. Did they go too far with Pete Rose? He was such an iconic baseball player, He was such Charlie Hustle, had his own name. Big Red Machine, that was the team.
He was definitely a part of that machine. He was the engine. But I can tell you this, criminals get reprieved and forgiven. He should have been admitted to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Maybe before some of the guys, before it wasn't steroids. Yeah, it was gambling. But you got crooks in there that did it way before him. We just didn't catch them. Now, as a kid, my three guys, Roger Staubach, Julius Ervin, and Pete Rose. Everything I saw them do, I thought I could do in every part of sports I played. Of course, I emulated some other guys, but those three guys, I was able to go get life-size posters. They had to be at least 12-foot-long posters. They covered 3 parts of my wall. I got them at the – this was before Fatheads and all of that. And every night, I dreamed about those three guys.
You say you got about the bubble gum?
No. I got them over at Palm Center.
Right.
At the Oshmans, they used to have them in the window. You can see how this way before Fatheads. And I mean, these posters at least 10 to, I mean, they were tall. I had to roll.
That's wallpaper, bro.
And I lived it exactly.
Shannon's too young. He don't remember that.
That's exactly what it was. And trust me, the color and I don't know what happened to those things. If I had them right today at a collector, if they were in good condition, dude, they would fight for those.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I had all them posters on my wall, brother.
All right. You are about 10 years younger than us, though. You're younger. I ain't
gonna call you old man. You ain't no 60.
I'm 63, pal.
You 63?
63.
All right.
All of us are.
I'm 62.
And I'm 62. What you talking about? I grew up on the same music, in the same neighborhoods, grew up on the line laters and all of that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Understood.
All right.
Well, guys, we are at the end of our show. And
hey, Clark, all rookie team, WNBA, all rookie team. Real quick, Caitlan Clark, Rakia Jackson, Angel Reese, Kamala Cardoza, and Leona Pybite are the all rookie team in the WNBA. I just wanted to mention that's the all rookie team. Huh?
They were supposed to be, everyone.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
All right,
Carl. Now, another thing, you hear about a whole lot of firings of these coaches.
Witherspoon, that wasn't right.
Witherspoon got fired.
That wasn't
the Atlanta coach got fired. Maybe something going on. I don't know. Maybe inappropriate.
No, not with Witherspoon. She's the truth. She'll
No,
get
never.
yeah, she's fine. They did her a favor, matter of fact.
Right.
Okay. All right.
One
well,
other thing,
some
Carl,
reason they
before we
did.
go. One other thing before we go. Boxing. What do you guys think about Terrence Crawford accepting this fight with Canelo Alvarez to fight at 168 pounds? Is this a mistake, guys? By
We'll know
Crawford?
fight night. You don't know now. That's a bad boy. I'm telling you. But we'll know fight night.
Who, Alvarez?
No,
Who?
Crawford.
Well, both
Alvarez
of
is a
them are bad boys.
Look, let me say this. He couldn't come all the way down, and Crawford had to come up 2 weight classes. But I can assure you, pound for pound, if it's going to be a lot like Leonard Hagler, because Crawford has hand size, hand speed that Canelo have not seen. But Crawford ain't seen the power that he's going to feel from Canelo. So we just
That's what I was saying. I'm afraid that he can't stand that power.
fight could go either way. If the quick hands do what they do, and he does have some power, but that's just what we're saying. I mean, that's a money fight. Crawford wants the money. He know he on his way out. Canelo got money and have all the prestige. But if Crawford beat him, he still should take out of there, because that's a big coup for him to beat Canelo. But I think he's a formidable opponent. I don't have no problem with that fight.
I think Crawford fighting Alvarez is like me fighting Deshannon.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
I don't think he has a chance.
No, he probably walks the street in that way. He's gonna lose a little size, but like I said, no, that's not the same. You got to see Crawford fight, and I guarantee you, it ain't gonna be no pushover.
Hey,
no,
Jeff,
that's not the same, huh?
No, that's not the same, Jeff. Don't do
that.
Let's not do that.
Because that ain't even a fight.
Yeah, that's not.
I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Anthony Joshua, got suspended. Was that right? Should he give it up? And he keeps getting knocked out. What's happening there?
Yeah, I mean he has a glass jaw, and the right
people
are tagging him too.
Right.
And that young guy went in there and got him, told him at the press conference, okay, you talking that noise, because Joshua was talking noise, and he beat up most opponents who are a little intimidated, but he's a big dude, and he's a talented fighter. But if you tag him right, he night,
perfect box.
Night, Stephen Curry style.
Exactly.
Hey, one thing I've learned in a fight, if you know you can't knock somebody out or you got a glass jaw, you should do no talking.
No,
that's focus on what you got to do.
And that's what he did.
That's straight up. I don't care. If you know you won't got it to knock somebody out and you know you got a glass jaw, you should be talking to nobody about nothing. Even a female will knock you out. Come on now.
Who's that Hispanic guy that knocked him out? Who's that Hispanic guy? What's his name?
No, that was a good fighter. That
Luis, I think.
Luis. What's his name?
Luis.
Knocked him silly.
Hey,
knocked him silly.
You got to keep your mouth closed. You got to know when to speak your time and when it's not, because it's. Hey man, look, if you can make it through a fight and you get to the next fight, that's good. But when you start talking to an opponent, they know they can knock you out because of your jaw. You need to leave that alone. Just, it's not saying I'm not afraid of them. You just need to focus on what you got to do to this opponent to make it through this fight.
You know who I want to see fight? I want to see Wilder fight Joshua. For some reason, I always wanted to see that fight. Yes, that never happened.
I don't think that's going to happen now. I don't think they're going to give him a license no more.
Is going to let that happen because
both of them keep getting knocked out.
Wilder
keep getting knocked out too.
No, Wilder got knocked out by
the Gypsy King twice,
and then that just kind of.
But he got knocked out of another guy since then.
Another guy just recently.
His confidence is gone, bro. He need to just do what he's doing. Go on to do your little.
They've had their runs. Go do something.
They had their runs.
Exactly.
Train some people. Go do your public engagement. Get your little money and leave it alone, because if you keep trying to go there, you're gonna get injured to the point where you can't do nothing.
Exactly.
All right, guys. We talked about a lot of things. This was our, I believe, 28th episode of Sportstake, and we're going to continue, and we're going to talk with you about going further, Brother Shannon, and we're going to continue, and we're going to be out there in the community with Sportstake and doing sports wherever sports is happening. That's what we want to concentrate on. Any last statement from anybody? Jeff.
I've spoken enough. I want to say thank you to my boy, Deshannon. Thank you, Deshannon, for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
Phil and Jeff, I'd like to talk with you all briefly after we get off, if that's okay. All right, guys.
I want to say, if I can.
Hold on. Go ahead, Deshannon.
Hey, like, once again, man, this means a lot to me. And I'm glad that you guys accept me and be part of this. I want to give a shout out to my third ward people, Jack Yates, Ryan Junior High, Blacks Elementary, University of Colorado, Las Vegas Rebels, New Orleans Saints. And I just want to give a shout out to the Rebels tonight. They playing Illinois tonight. So I'm about to tune in with y'all and go watch this game. But I want to say blessings to all of y'all, man. Y'all be careful, be safe, and blessings to y'all, brother.
Likewise to you, Shannon. Thank you.
Same to you, my brother. Same to you.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time on Sportstake.